There are many tragic tales to talk about in World War II, especially with Navy-related tales. Because just like in World War I and World War II, the Atlantic Sea passages were targeted by many German U-boats to try and stop supplies getting from America to Britain, and this included troop transports too. But there is not really a tale more tragic than the four Chaplains, unless you count the tale of the HMS Hood, which is probably one of the worst disasters in naval history with 1,400 losses. But we're going to talk about the second most tragic tale, and that would be the four Chaplains. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is a chaplain and military-wise? Well, it's a minister to military personnel. You're thinking like, this is a religious figure, somebody who is a rabbi, somebody who is a priest for Christianity. These are just religious people that are also part of the military personnel. These guys were first lieutenants at the time. And the first lieutenants that we're talking about today are George Fox, Alexander Good, and John Washington, and Clark Poling. Now, the four chaplains were on board of the ship Dorchester. Now, this was originally a civilian liner, but it would be converted in World War II to kind of help get supplies and troops across the Atlantic, because at the time of its civilian passages, it was only holding 300 to 400 people tops. But with the military conversion, it could hold just a little bit over 900 people. And that was a lot to get across the Atlantic for reinforcements to join the theater. Now, nobody on board this ship quite knew where they were going. They knew they were crossing the Atlantic, but they didn't know the ship's actual final destination. And they tried to keep that a little hush-hush. You didn't really know where you were going to end up in World War II. You kind of knew what theater you were going to based on the direction that you headed, but you didn't know exactly where you were going to be fighting in that theater. Now, in this military conversion, they did add more lifeboats, more rafts to the ship. They would add a 3-inch forward gun, another 4-inch gun, and then 4 20-millimeter guns, because you gotta have at least a little bit of protection. But that's really only for aircraft protection, not for German U-boats. Now, it would leave New York on January 23rd of 1943, and it would be captained by Hans Danielson. And later on, roughly a week later, he would spot a German U-boat. Now, the German U-boat would actually fire upon this cruiser February 3rd, 1943 at 12:55 in the morning. And it would be U-boat 223. And it would be off the coast of Newfoundland. But the torpedo would sink the ship. It would hit the electrical area of the ship, so it was, as soon as that torpedo hit, it was lights out on the boat. You could not see anything, and considering that it is past midnight in the pitch black ocean, you're not seeing anything unless it's your hand in front of your face, pretty much. So as the power was knocked out, everybody of course was losing their minds. They had been warned about the U-boat earlier, but nothing can really defend against a torpedo. Even the Coast Guard vessels that were with this ship at the time could not defend them against a German U-boat. So, because of the warning, everybody was on high alert, and everybody was already kind of had life jackets on, at least the people who wanted them on. Because depending on where you were at in that boat, you didn't really wear your life jacket. If you were really close to the engine room, it was really hot, and the life jacket just added layers. For those people who weren't wearing them, it was really uncomfortable, and they were just uncomfortable in general. So you have this chaos going on, But a lot of people are kind of prepared to already leave because they've already got their life jackets on. They're already headed to lifeboats as soon as the boat got hit. But there wasn't enough life jackets for everybody. And the 4 chaplains would actually be the people who would give order to the chaos. They would try their best to calm everybody down, make some order, have everybody get to the lifeboats and to the life rafts in orderly fashion. Now, they still didn't have enough room. It's odd to think that you're going to add extra lifeboats, extra life rafts, and you're still not going to have enough room for everybody. It's like a Titanic situation all over again, sadly. Now, the chaplains, seeing that everybody did not have enough life jackets, actually gave up their own life jackets to try and help these people escape. But you're off the coast of Newfoundland. You're pretty far north, and you're in the dead of winter. So even if you had a life jacket at this point, you probably weren't making it out of this unless you got aboard a lifeboat or a life raft, because that water was frigid cold. Like, it was instant hypothermia for these people. Now, they would end up not making it, the 4 chaplains. They tried to save as many people as they possibly could. Out of all the over 900 people on this boat at the time headed across the Atlantic, only 230 would actually be rescued by Coast Guard ships at the time. And like I said, that's because of how frigid it was. You're talking it's like 36 degrees or less where they're at. You really don't want to be in that water because it's pretty much gonna kill you, and not instantly, but like really slow, because your body's gonna enter hypothermia and you're gonna pass out, and it's just probably just gonna drown there. But because of this, and they knew they were going down with the ship, it was actually reported that they linked arms and they would say prayers and sing their hymns as they were going down. Actually, there was a survivor that would recount what he saw as they were leaving the boat, and his name would be Grady Clark. And he said, I quote, "As I swam away from the ship, I looked back. The flares had lighted everything. The bow came up high and she slid under. The last thing I saw, the 4 chaplains were up there praying for the safety of the men. They had done everything they could. I did not see them again. They themselves did not have a chance without life jackets." And all 4 of these chaplains would be given Purple Hearts and a Distinguished Service Cross for their bravery in trying to help as many people escape this tragedy as possible. Now, when rescue ships arrived to pick up the 230 men that would actually make it out, there were bodies everywhere in the water from the hypothermia that would cause their demise. Now, it's a tragedy, yes, and it's probably one of the worst things you can have happen during wartime, but this isn't the only account of something like this happening. Yes, Atlantic ships were targeted a lot, but they just didn't have the massive loss of life like this one. And it's definitely a sad tale to tell. But I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you may have learned something new, maybe. And then if you guys have more suggestions for tales, let me know down below. Thank you for your continued support, and I'll see you all later.